And now the latest around the spooky wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for Halloween. Well, here we are, the last day of the month and a holiday at that, a Halloween-themed TWB for y'all. And we have two tropical systems active at this point, Tropical Storm Apollo, which is north of Libya at this point, and newly formed Subtropical Storm Wanda in the Atlantic. 84 storms have formed so far this year. It's day 152 of Atlantic hurricane season, and we are officially out of names. Wanda marks the ending of the conventional naming list for the second year in a row. We also have Invest 95L, which has a 30% chance of becoming another storm. In the Eastern Pacific, you can see what's going on here, and there's really not much going on this 168th day of the season here. Nothing expected in the next 5 days. We'll see if some of the ensembles that have been trying to develop something do come to fruition, but as of right now, there is nothing expected for now. In the Western Pacific, chances have decreased slightly for Invest 90W, now down to 20% chance as it continues to head westward. It's looking pretty disorganized and very large at that, so development of this is going to be pretty slow. GFS has pretty much dropped nearly all of its support, with much of its support now being reliant on ensembles. The North Indian Ocean, there's nothing going on, but there is Invest 93S, of course, a 90% chance of formation, and it is likely that it will kick off the Southern Hemisphere season here in terms of the 2021-22 aspect of things. There is no track forecast as of right now, given the fact that as of this recording, the forecast for Wanda has not been released yet, but in terms of what it's probably going to be doing, it is expected to continue heading southeast before it does head back northwards over cooler waters, where it will turn extratropical once again. So it's not going to be too long lasting of a system, but it will mark the ending of the conventional naming list yet again. So there you have it. Here's the Atlantic satellite imagery, and you can see what is now Wanda passing over to the southeast there in the central Atlantic. And you can see 95L, which got designated after last night's bulletin, getting itself organized as well. We'll see what goes on with that one as well. In the Eastern Pacific, you can see what's going on with this one, and there's really not much to see here, besides a few little disturbances that don't have much of any kind of chance in terms of becoming a tropical cyclone, so it's all quiet here. In the Western Pacific, you can see what's going on with 90W, that large mess of clouds that you see there, just south of the Mariana Islands is where its center is being positioned at the moment there. Development is definitely going to be slow, just because of how much work it's going to need in terms of consolidating itself if it ever wants to become a tropical cyclone, but regardless, this could bring some heavy rain to the Philippines in the coming days. In the North Indian Ocean, there is not much going on here. Some cloud activity, as well as the remnants of 26W, which have pretty much entirely collapsed at this point, so there's really no traceable remnants of it, just the clouds that used to be a part of it. And of course, the 93S in the Southern Hemisphere looks definitely like a developing tropical system. Could be a short-lived tropical storm. You'll see what goes on with that. It will be heading to the west-southwest over the next several days here. Looking over at our sea surface temperatures, you can see what's going on around 27 to 29 degrees Celsius throughout the Eastern Pacific, although there is a little pocket where it's around 25 only in the central portion of that basin. In the Atlantic, you can see what's going on. It's around 27 to 28 in the Gulf of Mexico, 28 to 29 in the Caribbean, and then of course it's still around 28 to 29 in the main development region. Where Wanda currently is, it's around 26 to 27. Of course, we will be entering those 24 and below temperatures towards the middle of the week. And looking at 95L, it is going to be encountering worse conditions. In the North Indian Ocean, you can see what's going on. Still 28 to 29 in the Bay of Bengal and throughout the Arabian Sea. 27 to 28 there as well. In the Western Pacific, you can see what's going on around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius throughout a majority of the basin, with the only areas that are cooler than that are parts of the South China Sea and areas north of Taiwan. The Southern Hemisphere is still getting slowly warmer. It's around 25 to 26 throughout the tropical part of the basin. Of course, as you head towards the equator, it gets towards 27 to 28. Here are the sea surface temperature anomalies. Atlantic is still looking lower than average. The La Nina is And then, of course, the Western Pacific and North Indian Ocean are still looking above average, the Central Pacific being really the only notable area that has much of the region in the below average category in terms of that. Well, we're glad it definitely isn't a repeat of last year, as we had a whole lot going on. We had Super Typhoon Goni, which was peaking at 170 knots before making a very catastrophic landfall in the Philippines, the strongest ever recorded worldwide. We also had Tropical Depression 23W, that would become Tropical Storm at Sani, and even worse, we had Tropical Depression 29L in the Caribbean, that would become the devastating storm of Hurricane Eta. You can find more of our On This Day products powered by Cyclone History. Their tag is on the bottom bar below. Well, that brings us over to the next names. In the Atlantic, we're out. That means we're now using the backup list, which consists of the first two names being Adria, followed by Braylon. In the Eastern Pacific, the next two names here are Sandra, followed by Terry. And in the Central Pacific, while we don't have Hone, we might have some people thinking it's a great idea to dress up as Hone. That would probably be very scary to see. In the Western Pacific, the next two names here are Niato, followed by Ray. And in the North Indian Ocean, the next two names here are Jawad, followed by Asani. Moving on over into the Southern Hemisphere, the next two names here are Anna, followed by Betsy Ray. In the Australian region, we're looking out for Patty and Roby. And in the South Pacific, we're looking out for Cody and Dovey. We'll be back for another Tropical Weather Bulletin, normal themed, tomorrow night.